This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
99X. It's Barnes and Leslie, JB, Jimmy Barron sitting in full show today. The Morning X with Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy again.
Also, Jill is back on her worldwide tour. She's back tonight. She's got tickets for the 99X show Fantagram on their Running Through Colors tour at the Tabernacle on Friday, January 31st. So say hello to Jill tonight on 99X.
This fire stuff still just blows my mind.
So hard to watch.
It's so hard to digest.
It's apocalyptic. It's all those words. And, we live in, what's frustrating is we live in the society now, right, where everybody is looking for someone to blame.
Yeah.
And sometimes disasters happen and there's not much you can do about it, right? I mean, it's just so awful because, they can't, it's the winds that had prevented them from being able to put aircraft in the air to douse it. And that's why it spread so fast, because they couldn't fly those emergency vehicles. But it's awful. Do you know anybody there who has had their homes destroyed?
I don't specifically yet, because I have not dug into, I don't want to call and be like, hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? I feel like it's just such a crucial time right now. I'm sure, Leslie, you're in the same boat.
Yeah. I have friends that have had their houses destroyed. I don't want to name names, but I have a friend who's sort of sitting in her house wondering if she's going to have to evacuate based on where the winds go. And it is scary talking to her on a daily basis.
Do you guys know this medium, Tyler Henry? That young guy who he has a show or two where he talks to celebrities and does the whole medium thing. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
I've heard of him.
This is really crazy. He had Ricky Lake on his show a while back. And listen to this.
Keep in mind, there might end up being a coincidence where not only do we lose something, and I'm trying to kind of articulate this without it sounding concerning. I think this may have already happened. If there was a loss of material objects from both fire and water though, that's the kind of weird distinction. It's two separate things.
Okay.
So we're gonna end up finding that there's a story where there was a house fire or something along those lines, a fire risk.
Fire.
I mean, he predicted, and Ricky Lake lost her house.
Wow.
Saw that.
That's freaky.
I have a really good friend who lives in Malibu, and every New Year's Day he has a New Year's party. And I was there this year, as I am most years, because I'm out there visiting my mom. And he has just gone through a 2-year renovation of their home, and there is nothing remaining, zero. And
Story after story.
Yeah, I spoke with him last night. And, people are like, well, they have insurance. All these people have insurance.
A lot are dropped.
So he found out in November that as of March of this year, he would no longer have fire insurance because State Farm and other insurance companies, you're right, they have pulled out of California because of this. And fortunately, this happened before that. But even people at fire insurance don't have enough coverage because the insurance companies wouldn't cover the amount they needed covered, or the premiums were just, too untenable. So, people are losing, even people who are insured are losing millions of dollars.
Can both of you imagine your neighborhoods as they sit right now, burned to the ground, and you're standing there a week later looking at, a war zone and thinking about rebuilding? But think about the different things also that go with that. Think about the reason you maybe bought that house, or the neighborhood and the feel of the neighborhood was the reason. You're starting from scratch, where not only is it going to take years to get the real estate crews and the people in there to rebuild over 10,000 houses, but also the cost is going to be at such a premium. What do? Do you leave and go to some fancy high-rise, maybe if you're older, in your 70s, whatever, 80s, whatever? Or if you're younger, do you just say, screw it, I'm going to take whatever I get and go to another part of town? What would you do?
Well, I think a lot of people, first of all, they're trying to get past what just happened.
Yes.
And you mentioned about their homes. A lot of people said this was their childhood home.
Right.
That is just gone. And now I think people are deciding, am I going to relocate or am I going to try to stay?
Right. So, one of the celebrities who lost their home was Billy Crystal. I don't know if you saw that.
I did,
His house was destroyed. I have been in his home.
Wow.
So many, many years ago, when I drove a limousine, I had read this article about how he had this. He had his guest powder room. He bought an airplane bathroom from an old airplane scrapyard.
Oh, wow.
And he put it in as his powder room. So you'd
That's
go
funny.
in. The toilet was a regular toilet, but everything was like an airplane. He had a fake window in there that was an airplane window with like clouds or whatever. So I was driving him in a limousine. He was a nice guy. I said, Billy, big fan, blah, blah, blah. I've heard about your bathroom. Can I see it? And he said, yeah, sure. No problem. Let me in. I got to see it. And I heard his house was destroyed, and I thought, well, it must be a different house. But he said, no, we've been in the house for 47 years. So, and to me, and I don't know if this would be to you guys, you're right, Barnes, it's just like, where do you start? But the personal memorabilia and the personal items that are destroyed, the pictures that you'll never get back, the things from your family that you'll never get back, insurance can't cover that.
Well, that goes into what would you take with you?
Right. And a lot of people didn't have time to take anything with them.
Didn't have time. I know.
Man, think about it. I mean, these are like, when I say wealthy people, I'm generalizing, but to move into Pacific Palisades, it's not cheap.
Correct.
And you've got not only the structure, which you don't know, what is the rest of the neighborhood aesthetically going to do? Could be another reason why you chose there.
Right.
Like, what are the real estate prices going to be? And then the whole building thing. But then you work into that, like your neighbors where, some are going to stay, some are going to go. No trees, like just the expenses. But then you get into their interiors. Can you imagine if you're an interior designer or an antique dealer or whatever, and you set up shop over there? These people are going to want what they want. And all of it's going to be at a premium. And I hate seeing the gouging. I saw some people posting gas is already like over $7.
Oh, the gouging and the looting.
Right.
And
The looting's
Looting's a big problem right now. They have curfews.
bad.
They have curfews.
Yeah. We haven't talked about all the complicated permitting that people are saying
Right.
it's going to be impossible to rebuild because of all the weird regulations.
Oh, yeah. Well, so did you see that one shot of it was the Pacific Coast Highway coastline in Malibu where the fire had jumped over PCH.
Yeah.
And all the houses were
Gone.
destroyed but one.
Who was the one?
So I read about him last night. I forgot his name, Rick something. I forgot his last name, but his house was built. They were asking him how did it, how did you escape? Every house next to him was destroyed. His house was built of stone and stucco, and it had a fireproof roof. And so they said, well, moving forward, to your point, the building codes will probably change. The only problem with brick and stucco is that, okay, it's the only one to survive a fire. It's the first one that goes in an earthquake.
Yeah.
Because,
You're right.
Because there's no pliability. So you got to pick which way you want to go there. Probably
is tough. Our hearts go out to the people
Yes.
out there going through this. Just try to wrap your head around it. How could you?
They probably go through stages of grief, right?
It's so sad.
Unreal.
We just extend our really heartfelt gratitude to all of the programming directors and general managers and everyone that has decided to put their trust in us, adding this program, The Guy Benson Show, to their lineup. Then a few more additions this week. KMJ in Fresno, California. KTMA in Charleston, South Carolina. WLOB in Portland, Maine. And AM 890, the Big 89, WLS in Chicago. And I just want to say one quick thing about WLS in Chicago, if I could. I started my career in the city of Chicago. I graduated from Northwestern in 2007, and one of the rival stations in Chicago, WIND 560, Marcus Brown, Dave Santrella, they gave me my start. And I did a weekend show, a Sunday night show there for years in my 20s, early 20s. I could not believe my good fortune. And they let me sort of cut my teeth and grow and figure out what worked and didn't work. And I have maintained a great relationship with them. This show actually aired in the wee hours of the morning on tape delay for a while on WIND. And then an opening occurred at the Big 89, WLS. And they came to us, and there was a deal reached to put this show all 3 hours live in Chicago. And of course, I eagerly accepted, just elated by this development. I did want to thank my friends at the other station for giving me that opportunity years ago in 2008, putting faith in like a 22, 23-year-old. Just incredible. And they hold a place in my heart. Now, do I hope to beat them every day in the ratings now at WLS? Absolutely. Do I intend to do that? Yes. But it's with a spirit of friendly competition. And what's really special to me, I'm not from Chicago. A lot of people think I'm from Chicago because I went to school there for 4 years, because I started my career there for 3 more years. People kind of got it in their brains, a lot of folks, that I'm from the city of Chicago or the suburbs of Chicago. No, it's a great place. Setting aside the weather, setting aside the politics and the corruption, it's a great place. That means a lot to me. And for those 7 years that I spent in Chicago, because I am from overseas, I was born overseas, grew up in the New York area. But while I was there, really important years, college and beyond, I did a lot of driving in my car. And when I wanted to listen to the greatest conservative radio talk show host of my lifetime or any lifetime, Rush Limbaugh, the home for Rush in Chicago was WLS. I mean, I could sing the jingles, right? I have them memorized, right? I would hear the jingles at the top of the hour going into the news. So I'd listen to Rush on the EIB network, talent on loan from God, and all of that. And just the idea that now my show, our show, is airing on WLS, that same station, 50,000 watts, a beacon throughout the Midwest, it does feel a little bit surreal and like a dream come true. So not to downplay any of my excitement about any of the stations that I just listed, and there are some big ones. And no matter where you live, we're just so excited that you're here. I just had to take a moment and a point of privilege to talk about WLS in Chicago because it feels personally significant to me. And there's just this sense of deep appreciation and responsibility that I just wanted to put out there. And it might seem a little sappy or sentimental, but I'm not going to do this on a regular basis. I just wanted to get off on that foot and give you all that insight into sort of where my career started and where we are now.